Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Village of Bartlett Committee of the Whole meeting for September 3rd, 2024. I call this meeting to order, and again, please ask the clerk to call the roll.
Trustee Daney?
Here.
Gansey?
Here.
GUNSTEEN?
Here.
Hopkins? Laporte?
Here.
Swansky? Here. President Wallace?
Here. Town hall portion of the meeting, if anybody would like to address the committee, kindly step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. Would anybody like to address the committee at this time? Seeing none in the audience. John, is there anybody online?
No, Mayor, there's none.
Thank you. Moving on to standing committee reports. First standing committee report, Building and Zoning Committee Chairman Gunstein.
Thank you, President Wallace. Tonight we have 4 items on building and zoning. The first one is our TOD plan review. The village received a Regional Transportation Authority grant in 2015, which led to the completion of the downtown transit-oriented development plan in October 2016. The TOD's objectives are to create a vibrant downtown with mixed-use buildings, expand the local tax base, and enhance public transit options to reduce congestion and improve walkability. An updated implementation checklist has been prepared and is attached. Planning and Development Services, Christy Stone, will present a PowerPoint presentation.
Download it.
I will turn it over to you.
Got it.
I am not going to go over the whole implementation checklist, but you will see that we have done a lot in the past few years. What I am going to focus on today is really the overall planning strategies. So the TOD plan is a starting point, and we have 6 main goals. Number 1, increase the downtown residential population by focusing on new housing development. 2, redistribute the Metro parking lot to accommodate the future commuter needs and allow for new developments on some key sites in the downtown. Number 3, reinforce Bartlett Avenue as the historic retail center of downtown. 4, improve traffic and pedestrian connectivity by reestablishing a street grid south of the railroad tracks. 5, revitalize older retail properties to enhance the marketing and appeal of existing businesses. And 6, improve bike and pedestrian connections from the surrounding residential neighborhoods to downtown. The TOD plan had multiple key conceptual sites for redevelopment. These are really conceptual in nature, so it's a starting point. One of the big goals of the TOD plan was to adopt the downtown overlay district. So that is what is going to control your overall site layouts, what uses are permitted where, what the buildings look like, and really the streetscape that we're going for. So I'm going to, I'm going to go through, I believe it's 7 of the main sites. The first opportunity site A is the existing parking lot at Western Avenue. So the plan calls for this to be residential, probably multifamily, apartments. Again, this is just a concept. The overlay district would also allow retail in this area. We would want residential above it. The second site is just east of this. This where we have the Associated Bank drive-through, which takes up a lot of key real estate in the downtown. Again, we're looking at something with retail offices on the first floor, more residential on the levels above. Trying to get things oriented on Bartlett Avenue. Opportunity Site C is the existing parking lot east of the Economos building. This was a key site for possibly doing a parking garage. With Metro telling us that they're going to be eliminating the split platform, it makes sense to consolidate as much of the parking as we can closer to the train station, so people won't have to choose if they want to have the longer walk before work or after work. These are some options that are in other towns where even the parking garage does incorporate some residential units, or it could incorporate retail potential. We're not limited by what's shown in the TOD plan. The site north of Flexonics, there's potential there for it to be townhomes, maybe some condos, strictly residential, kind of along the south side of Railroad Avenue.
Is that owned by Metro?
It is currently owned by Metra. I'm thinking if we get the parking garage, we can provide additional parking spaces. It's something that they would be willing to work with the village on. They're really about the total number of spaces provided. And to kind of demonstrate the flexibility with this, Site E, which we're all very familiar with, if you look at the TOD plan, it called for having a building along Berteau and East Railroad. What we approved, and it also called for having a right-of-way dedicated connecting to the Hillcrest Apartments to the south. The Site E plan that was approved had a curb cut on Berteau Avenue and the building strictly along Railroad Avenue. It's just, again, these are overall concepts with the TOD plan. We're really guided by the downtown overlay district to help working with developers. It gives us a lot more flexibility. Although with this Opportunity Site F, it's going to be parking. That's really all you have room for right along the tracks. It's a very narrow strip of land. This has always been in the plan, been in the plans with Metra since the station was built. And then Opportunity Site G. I know this was kind of a point of contention when this originally was proposed, was to bringing in the street grid. With streets of Bartlett, even with streets of Bartlett remaining the way that it is now, we did sort of follow this plan with the Aldi being located close to Devon Avenue, kind of utilizing the existing Bartlett Plaza Drive as a roadway. This is, again, it's a starting point. It's things to think about as sites redevelop. It's nothing that we're saying we're going to tear down a building right now and put in a street. This is just kind of giving us the vision of what potential there is in the future. So I know this is a very quick overview. Really the meat is of what our downtown's going to look like is in the downtown overlay district. So I wanted to bring that up. So there are 4 sub-areas within the district. They each have different design standards, but any site that allows commercial allows residential on the higher floors. So we're not limited to it. We're not saying this can only be residential. We have a lot of flexibility, but we do need to get rooftops in downtown so that we can support the businesses. That is the biggest thing, that was the biggest recommendation in the TOD plan, was that we need residential. Are there any specific, I know I kind of went over it briefly, but there aren't, these are all, it was a starting point on what we need to do to kind of change the downtown.
How often do we show this to people now interested in Bartlett? Is it something we pull out and show them?
For the TOD plan,
Yeah, with the plan.
I see the TOD plan as really for staff on guiding the vision. When we meet with developers interested in downtown, I'm giving them, here's our downtown overlay district. This is what we want. That has a lot of illustrative examples of the types of buildings that we want, the site layouts that we want, and we work with them.
Have you found that to follow this plan pretty well, or has it been very different?
I would say most people understand the vision of what we're looking for. So part of the reason why development, so if you look at the chiropractor's office, that follows a lot of the recommendations of the TOD plan. That was constructed before we had the overlay district, but we had worked with her to say this is what we're planning on doing in the future. And she was very accommodating to have the building close to Main Street, have the parking in the rear. So that's kind of what we're trying to do as projects come in.
Christie, what is the potential, or what, is there any chance of opening up, having Berteau Avenue opened up over the railroad tracks?
I think it would probably be a hard sell to Metra.
Yeah, well, my response to the people that have asked me is, you're not going to live long enough. So, no. So.
I'm happy we're getting the Stearns Road bike path, and that's been on the plans for 20 years.
Oh, the only
That's
reason
still
I asked-
5 years out, so.
Yeah, the only reason I asked is we're talking about the downtown area, and I just remember that a few guys had asked me, about Berteau Avenue ever being opened up, and it just came back to my mind. But I didn't think that's going to happen in the
TOD plan calls for it being a pedestrian connection, and I think even that's going to be difficult to get Metro to agree to.
Thank you.
Are you updating this with the current businesses that have been added, like Aldi, per se, and for your own files, as well as the file, you know, the presentation that you give to developers?
I mean, I'm aware of everything that's going on. We do keep our packets of, these are the approved plans, this is what we're looking for, and I keep track of, these were the improvements we started at this point. We made them make these upgrades, so that we're keeping track and making sure we're keeping the standards consistent.
How many different, like, leads do you have for this area in a year?
It really varies. So there's property owners that come in and they meet with us. We give them the plans. I've met with numerous architects for very specific sites. No one's come in with plans. So we haven't had a large developer come in and say, I want to develop these 3 sites.
Except for the one that we just denied. Residents downtown.
We also have had,
Go ahead.
we've also had some discussions with Metra about Site D? About Site D, talk to their property acquisition people, just kind of letting them know that that's on our radar, that we'd like to, you know, begin conversations with them about it.
Yes.
You move on? You're the chairman here.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't have any more questions on that, sorry. Zoned out there for a second. Is that it on the presentation?
Is it on the
Okay.
presentation for the TOD plan?
All right. Our second item today, is there any more questions on that, or can we move on? We're good?
Move it forward.
All right. Our second item is Westgate Animal Care, I'm sorry. The petitioner is requesting a special use permit to allow an animal hospital at 792-794 West Bartlett Road in Westgate Commons. The animal hospital would operate on the first floor of the unit, and the second floor would contain the doctor's private office and library. Animals will not be boarded overnight at the facility. Any animals in need of overnight will be taken to a 24-hour animal hospital. It looks pretty cut and dry. Does anybody have any questions on that one? Do they meet the parking standard requirements there?
They do.
Okay. With that, we can send this, does this have to go to planning and zoning?
Yes, it's a public hearing.
So we'll review this, or we reviewed this, and we'll forward it to the Planning and Zoning Commission to conduct a public hearing.
Right.
All right, number 3, re-subdivision of the townhome at Grasslands. The petitioner is requesting approval of the final re-subdivision PUD plat and final PUD plan for the townhomes at the Grasslands subdivision. The purpose of this re-subdivision is to eliminate the potential tax assessment errors. Previously recorded plat for the subdivision showed a single lot for each townhome building. Cook County assigns each townhome unit within the lot a condo parcel index number. D.H. Horton has submitted a revised plat and PUD plan that now divides each townhome into multiple fee simple lots. And if anybody has any questions, if not, we'll forward this on to the Plan Commission for a hearing.
Is Grasslands on schedule?
It is on schedule. So they plan on doing construction. They will have digs through November.
So what is this projected to like bring into the village once it's done?
I don't have that number off the top of my head.
And then, because it's amazing that this developer didn't use any village funding at all. So I think it's important that we had a developer come into the village of Bartlett, not ask for a dime, and he is building hundreds and hundreds of units. And I want to thank this developer for not even asking.
He asked.
Well, we didn't see it anyway, so thank you guys for, putting a kibosh on that before it even got to us. So commend you guys then. So But yeah, that's great, so I'm glad it's
I'll mark this day in my calendar.
Oh, boy.
All right. No more questions, we'll send that on to the Plan Commission. All right. Item number 4, short-term rental discussion. At the June 18, 2024 Village Board meeting, a resident spoke during the town hall regarding his neighbor renting out his property on weekends, and staff was directed to provide an update on short-term rentals within the village. Based on the limited number of short-term rentals and a single complaint review, staff does not recommend adopting restrictions at this time. Christie, do you have anything you want to add to that?
So we only had one complaint regarding rentals in the past year, since the previous discussion. There's only 5 to 6 that have been advertised at a time online. So based on that, we're just recommending keeping things the way they are.
Was there any solution for this person in this particular case?
So
The fence too, right?
this was the fence too.
Is there any kind of solution so like he doesn't keep having issues or is kind of stuck?
It's, I will say that when the police have been called out, they have gotten compliance from the renters, but sometimes you can't force neighbors to get along.
If I'm not mistaken, this particular house had a kitchen in the basement, if I'm not, was that the complaint?
This is a different one, I think.
This is the different one?
This was a different one.
Okay,
The one that had the kitchen in the basement, they did remove it.
okay. Well, if nobody has any questions,
less restriction.
you know, that was for discussion only, so that's it. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Chairman Gunstein. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session pursuant to Section 2C21 of the Open Meetings Act for purposes of discussing the minutes of meetings lawfully closed under Open Meetings Act, whether for purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or the semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by Section 2.06 of the Open Meetings Act.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Hopkins. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Laporte?
Yes.
Swansky? Yes. Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein? Yes. Hopkins?
We are adjourned to executive session.